We are mere weeks away from Venom: The Last Dance, and Sony Pictures are stepping up the marketing. We're getting TV spots everywhere, with the vocal point being, my homeworld is after me. I have something they want. I think one thing that people are underlooking is the title is called Venom: The Last Dance. Is the title literally just telling us that Venom is going to have to die? There is dialogue in the TV spot where Venom says to Eddie, I'm with you to the end. It's almost like they're trying to hype it up that Tom Hardy's version of Venom, at least, is going to have to be sacrificed or is going to have to die in some variants. So, yo, what is freaking good, YouTube? Wish you have your new anime subscribe to never miss any of the Marvel, DC, Kaiju, Monsterverse, pop culture-based content that I try to deliver on a daily basis. Go to our channel, turn notifications on, and let me know your theory. What is going to happen? We know we've got this merger that's unofficially being confirmed that Marvel and Sony will be sharing a bunch of stuff. And there's a massive rumor that Knull is going to appear in Spider-Man 4, so on and so forth. Knull appearing in this is much bigger than what anyone thought. So if you could, check us out on Instagram at Warstu to see the beautiful face behind the beautiful voice, and check us out on Twitter, WarstuG, and also check us out on TikTok, Warstu over there. So let's get into it. So they've got something we need. What could this be? So if we go back to Marvel Comics, as we know, both Marvel and DC follow the comic books very loosely. So what could this be, this thing that Venom has that the home world needs? So doing some digging and basically looking at reliable people on the internet, aka Twitter. The boy Geekcast, aka Chad Ryan, following YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, so on and so forth, has been tweeting some very interesting things. And as you know, very credible, very reliable person. So what he's posted recently on Twitter at the Geekcast. As the symbiote bonded to benevolent hosts, the hive mind became tainted with the notion of honor and nobility, leading to them rebellion against their god, being Knull, and imprisoning him at the heart of the throne world, which they renamed Clintar. So I guess you could say the theory is why Sony keeps marketing this movie saying, yo, they're coming for him. They need something from Venom. What has Venom got? It's obviously the codex that your boy Knull, the god of the symbiotes, the wielder of the necrosword, although Gore, the god butcher, use that. So some kind of variation of a codex. You know what a codex is? I don't need to explain it to you. So Venom has some kind of codex that they're coming after. And that's why the line goes, I'm with you to the end, Eddie. Hits hard because it's almost like they're confirming that Eddie's going to die, or Venom's going to die, or Eddie Brock, being the host of Venom, is going to die in some variation of it. Or at least that's the way I'm taking it. So I believe they're called the xenophage, if that's how you pronounce it. The creatures from Venom's homeworld are coming after him, basically, for some variation of a codex. Now, it went on to say some other things that are interesting. They need to take the people who have bonded with Venom before, because they have codec pieces. Once the pieces are taken to Knull, he can escape Clintar, which is interesting, because as we know, Eddie Brock isn't the only host that the Venom symbiote has had in the 2 Venom movies, realistically. He's taken over a lot of people, which are kind of irrelevant. But in terms of the movie, realistically, it's Eddie Brock. So is that telling us that in order for Knull to escape his homeworld and somehow traverse the multiverse via the hive mind potentially and go over to Spider-Man and get Peter Parker, that he's going to have to kill Eddie Brock? But he goes one step further. This is all coming courtesy of the Geekcast. The cultist explains that they have this theory. If Carnage absorbs enough codexes, then Knull symbiotes will be complete and awaken him, enabling him to break free from his prison. Agreeing to his plan, Carnage asks where the codex are, and the cultist explains they are within the bodies of everyone who have ever bonded to the symbiote. So as we know, there's been a bunch of other people in the Venom movies that have temporarily bonded with the symbiote. But realistically, I mean, this is me just spitballing, y'all. The Last Dance, Alex Perez has hinted multiple times that Knull isn't just here as a one-and-done kind of thing. If Knull's part is huge, and if Knull is going to have a pinnacle part going forward in a multiversal storyline, if the new sharing arrangement is what it says it is, then I'm going to have to assume they're going to have to kill Eddie, because he would have the codex inside his body, and that would release Knull from his prison, Clintar. Now, that's just a theory. I don't know if that's true. And obviously, as we know, in the comics, you know I'm not a comic guy, but I loosely know the comics. And I said this back when Thor Love and Thunder came out back in 2022, but they took a massive L because they didn't have the rights to use Knull. Obviously, Gore, the God Butcher, wielded the Necrosword, which is linked to, obviously, Knull. I said they took a massive L there. So maybe he somehow goes after and somehow ends up with Necrosword in the storyline. We don't know how far this is going to go. So in order for Knull to break out, his minions, if you want to call them that, the enemies that are essentially after Venom, have to essentially take Venom to Knull, kill him for the codex, and that will release Knull, and then potentially the post-credit scene is Knull traversing through the hive mind or some variation of that, or the multiverse, and ends up in New York City, maybe, but I don't think that's the case. And also, yeah, there is some caveat here. What's the caveat? The caveat is we've literally seen behind-the-scenes images of Tom Hardy, Eddie Brock walking through New York. And obviously, you know, the Venom movies are always based, or, well, they don't actually film it. I don't know where they film, but they make it look like they're in San Francisco. So if that's the case, I don't know if Eddie Brock, Tom Hardy, Venom is going to die because of the payoff. They've been building up for this huge payoff, which is Spider-Man Tom Holland meeting Tom Hardy, Venom, and fighting, and a lot of people assume that's going to happen. So I'm just spitballing. But either way, if it is going to follow the comics and follow what the Geeky Cast is saying, this is not my information. I'm just relaying information out there. More reliable than pretty much 99% of the scoopers. I would have to actually say that someone who bonded with the Venom symbiote is going to have to die, and they're going to have to use the codex, and that is how Knull is going to escape his homeworld. So this makes it even more interesting for me, because it also means most of the leaks were fake, because not one single leak said that Knull was appearing. And yes, obviously, we do know apparently Toxin is the villain, and obviously Toxin technically would have bonded with Venom at some point. So potentially that could be the case, that if it's not going to be Eddie that dies, potentially it will have to be Toxin instead. I just can't see, even though it's called The Last Dance, we know it's the last in the trilogy, I just can't see him killing off Tom Hardy, because there's all these rumors about Tom Hardy, Venom appearing in Spider-Man 4, and then obviously the storyline going to some kind of capacity in Spider-Man 4, where the only way to save Peter Parker, Spider-Man, is for Eddie to basically give up the symbiote of Venom and give it to Spider-Man, and essentially we get the evil Spider-Man, the Black Spider-Man appearing in Secret Wars, or after that in maybe Spider-Man 5 or Spider-Man 6. We don't know, but this information coming courtesy of the Geekcast is actually pretty interesting, because he's quote tweeted Alex Perez, who says Web of Venom Carnage Born volume, and then this is where we get all the information of the Geekcast saying they need to take the people who have bonded with Venom before, because the codex pieces, once those pieces are taken to Knull, he can escape his homeworld, essentially. But it's interesting because he's not actually bonded with that many people in the movie that we've seen. So I don't believe Tom Hardy's going to die, but maybe. But it is interesting. Very interesting. Because literally in every TV spot now, we've got something he needs. He's coming for me. It's a codex, clearly. They're going to do some version of it. We know it's Marvel. It might be Sony Marvel, but it's still going to be loosely based on the comic book. So pretty cool. And I believe this is somewhat how it's going to play out. I'm just spitballing based on what the Geeky Cast said on his public Twitter at the Geeky Cast. This could be completely wrong. It's just a theory, but it does make a lot of sense. And all the promo around Knull, and I believe before the movie comes out, at least I think it comes out in the UK on the 25th of October. I believe they're going to tease even more of Knull, because I don't believe that Knull is just a one and done thing. Alex Perez has hinted multiple times. Your boy Warstu has always said that Knull would appear in his movie before anyone else, and I would die on that wall because I said it and I was right and no one's giving me credit. I'm joking, but if you look back on the channel, I've said it back since at least Thor Love and Thunder, that having a Necrosword in the movie and not having Knull was travesty. But we get why it's because they didn't have the rights. But if this new sharing arrangement is what people said it is, then Knull and Venom, if Venom doesn't die in this movie, could appear in Spider-Man 4 and so forth. And this evil army that Doctor Doom is allegedly building, you could have Knull, but Knull is a multiversal threat himself. Knull doesn't need the help of Doctor Doom at all. But if this rumor that's basically made up that Doctor Doom's going to have a multiversal army to go against the Avengers, the new Avengers, then maybe Knull could be his lieutenant. Or maybe Knull just bodies Doctor Doom and kills him. But that wouldn't happen because it's Robert Downey Jr. playing the version. of Doctor Doom. So like always, guys, I'm spitballing now, but maybe that's the master plan for Knull crossing over to the MCU. So like always, guys, check us out on Instagram at Warstu, check us out on Twitter, Warstu G, and I'll catch you in another video very soon, guys. Catch you later.